Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dhivenya and I'm a final year mechanical engineering student in France. If you clicked into this video, you're probably applying for an internship at L'Oreal or you're just curious to know about the company in general. Well, so keep watching because in this video, I'm going to be talking about L'Oreal's application process and share with you guys the tips and tricks that helped me get 2 internships at L'Oreal. So at my engineering school, we actually had to do 2 6-month internship, and so I managed to land both of my internships with L'Oreal in France. The first one was in 2021 and the second one was in 2023. So before applying for L'Oreal, like I've obviously heard about its products, but that was L'Oréal Paris, so like the shampoo, the makeup and whatnot. But what I did not know was that L'Oreal is actually a cosmetic group with a huge brand portfolio. So you guys have probably heard about like Kiehl's, Garnier, Maybelline, CeraVe, Lancome. Well, these are just some of the brands in the L'Oreal group. So the group is actually made up of 4 divisions: consumer products, L'Oreal Luxe, active cosmetics, and professional products. So I did my first internship with the active cosmetics division with one of my favorite skincare brands, La Roche-Posay, and I did my second one with L'Oreal Luxe, this time with the brand Lancome. In this video, I'm going to be focusing more on the application process that I went through to get my first internship, so the one in 2021 with La Roche-Posay. So I applied for 3 different internships on L'Oreal's website on their career page, and you can only apply for up to 3 different jobs within a 30-day period. So I would say, like, think carefully about the jobs that you want to apply for because you can only reapply 30 days later. So mid-February 2021, I applied for 3 different internships: industrial development, supply chain, and packaging. So at this point, I was only in my first year of engineering school, and the purpose of this internship was to get some industrial exposure, to discover a new job, to see how a company functions, and also to gain some experience within 6 months. Before applying, I never really thought about going into the cosmetics sector because that's like not one of the industries that you are exposed to when you come from a mechanical engineering background. But it was stated on the job post that they were looking for students from an engineering school and from a business school, and so I just applied. The application process was very much straightforward. It's like one of those interfaces that you find on other job websites as well. Pretty straightforward. You have to fill it out with your personal information, your academic history, your work history, the types of languages that you speak, and your skills and whatnot. And you also have the option to upload your CV. So I think that's what I did. I uploaded my CV at that point. So I applied in mid-February, right? And 2 weeks later, I got a call from HR saying that she is interested in my profile and she would like to set up my first interview, which brings me to my next point: the interview process. So there are 2 stages in total. The first one with the HR and the second one with the manager. Once again, it was all very straightforward. The first interview I had with the HR after 2 weeks of applying was a 30-minute phone call. And I remember, like, she was really nice. She made me feel very comfortable during the interview, and she asked me questions related to my academic background, and then she also told me about like L'Oreal as the group. Don't worry guys, I'm going to be going into the details of the questions that I was asked during the interview later on in my video, so keep watching. So anyway, I have this phone call with the HR. It went pretty well. It was also like my second interview during the entire application process, and at the end of the call, she told me immediately that she would be submitting my profile to the managers for a second round. And so 3 days later, I have the second interview with 2 managers this time, and it was a video call for about like 1 hour. And so once again, I remember that the both managers were very friendly, very professional, very nice as well. They made me feel really comfortable. I didn't feel like intimidated, or I didn't feel like I was being tested, you know, in that sort of stressful way. It was just like a nice exchange of like getting to know each other and like trying to see if I was the right fit for their group or for their team and L'Oreal in general. So the questions in this round were directed more towards like the professional context as well as my previous experiences. So bear in mind, this was going to be my first internship, so I didn't have like any official work experience prior to that. My answers were mostly based on my experiences working in group projects or working in university projects. It was also based on like my leadership experiences in my extracurricular activities, some experiences that I also had in high school. So I had the second interview in the morning, and I got a call from HR a few hours later to tell me that I got through. And I remember I felt really relieved, really happy, because at this point I'd gotten the internship like in the beginning of March, when I was only supposed to start in September. So that means I practically saved myself from more internship hunting stress throughout the semester. Overall, the interview process went rather smoothly. I felt pretty comfortable during the exchange. I got to learn more about like L'Oreal during the interview as well, and I also appreciated how quick they were to set up the whole thing. So we've come to the part of the video where I share with you guys the tips and tricks that helped me land my internship with L'Oreal. But this is also like what I do in general for other companies and other interviews, but I'm going to be telling you guys like what I did in particular for L'Oreal and what I think helped me get that internship. So first, when you prepare for an interview, you have to research 3 things: the company, the job, and the interviewer that you're going to have to interview with. When you research the company, try to find out what their mission is, what the company culture is like, what are they known for, what are they proud of, and also like their corporate social responsibilities. For L'Oreal in particular, I know that they take their CSR very seriously, as well as like the values of the company itself. So that is something that I highlighted during the interview and when I gave my answers to certain questions. And also, like you guys, I was trying to find blogs or videos of people talking about their interview experience with L'Oreal, but I found out that on L'Oreal's website itself, they have like career blogs dedicated to interviews, dedicated to the application process. And so there were a lot of tips and advices that I got to source out from the website, and that kind of helped me see what they're looking for and like what's important to them. They also have a YouTube channel and a specific playlist dedicated to like dedicated to like interviews and whatnot. So they have like career tips, advices on how to manage your interview. And honestly, like I found it really helpful. Once again, I could sort of detect what is important to L'Oreal, and so like I sort of prepared my answers based on those aspects. I remember watching this video here, and it was very helpful for me. So I think if you guys are applying for an internship, don't hesitate to check it out, and I hope that it helps you too. The second thing that you research is the job. So you should try to get like try to understand what the job entails for you to do. Read up on the blog. There might be some articles on people explaining what they do in that particular post. You could also try to find people in that post on LinkedIn, and you can just like send them a message and be like, hey, I have an interview with L'Oreal for this job in particular. I would love to talk to you if you have the time to try to understand what you do in this particular post. The third thing to research is your interviewer. So I actually got this tip from L'Oreal's career blog. They mentioned that it could be good, that it could be helpful and to your advantage as well, to find your interviewer on LinkedIn and connect with them. Send them a message and be like, hey, my name is Dhivenya. I have an interview with you this Friday at 4 p.m. and so it would be a pleasure to connect with you on this platform. So what's in it for you is that your interviewer gets to like know you before the interview. He or she gets to look at your profile, see what you've done, look at the recommendations that other people might have given you, some interesting projects that you've worked on before this person even meets you. So it gives you like your first good impression before the interview. And what you have in return is that you also get to see the education background of your interviewer. You get to see how long this person has been in L'Oreal. You also get to see if you guys have like some common interests, and that's something that you could use to your advantage during the interview. For example, I've had an interview where the interviewer knew that I played squash back in Malaysia, and so we talked about it for a while. So you see, like anything that helps you get like anything that helps you connect with the interviewer on a different level outside a professional context, I feel like that could be something that would work to your advantage. So as I promised in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some questions that were asked during my interview. So honestly, the questions were pretty typical. It's like a pretty generic interview questions for like a personality type interview. So I'm just gonna like go over the questions, but I'm also thinking of making another video to share with you guys how I prepped for my interview. So let me know if that's something that you are interested in the comments below. So the first question that everyone always asks you is to introduce yourself. So this is like your 30-second pitch, right? It's where you sell yourself. And if you had to memorize like any of your answers for your questions, this is the one that you should be memorizing. It's got to be clear, it's got to be impactful, it's got to leave an impression. They also asked me why L'Oreal, why do I want to work with L'Oreal, what is it that attracts me to L'Oreal, what do I understand about the job. So this is where like your little research on the job post and your little messaging on LinkedIn comes in handy. But obviously like they don't expect you to understand the job fully. To be very honest, like I didn't really understand what it is like being an industrial development engineer, and so they also completed whatever was lacking in my understanding during the interview. One of the other famous questions is what are your strong points and what are your weak points. So here I would say like try to identify the type of qualities that are appreciated in the company that you're applying for. For me in L'Oreal, I feel like it was about being curious, being open-minded, being a team player, and also being someone who is responsible and meticulous in your work. You could obviously have like several qualities, but I would say that in this question, try to tailor your answer to what they are looking for in that job and in that company in particular. They also asked if I could work under pressure. So I think this is because like L'Oreal's internships are known to be hard. Like they treat their interns like real employees. They're given real responsibilities, real projects to work on. So you will have like a lot of responsibilities as an intern at L'Oreal, and so I think that's why it's important to be able to work under pressure. They also asked me how I would deal with something that I didn't understand. Like if I was unsure on how to do something, what would my approach be? Moving on, they also asked me what's the type of working environment that I like and dislike, what do I appreciate, what kind of values do I like in my team members, for example. They also asked me what makes me happy, and like when this question was asked, I was caught off guard because I wasn't prepared for it, and so I blanked and I was like, I like French pastries. I really like croissants a lot. And that's when the interviewer was like, no, what I meant is what makes you happy in a professional context, like career-wise and stuff like that. But we had a good laugh over it anyway, so it was all good. So yeah, those were the types of questions that I was asked. As you can see, it was pretty generic, pretty typical when you have like personality type interviews. At the end of every interview, you should always send a follow-up email to thank the interviewer for his or her time. Because if you think about it, these people are meeting like different candidates all throughout the week, and so it's all about standing out, it's all about leaving a good impression. So it wouldn't cost a lot to just like send an email to thank the person for his or her time, and also to like state your motivation to get that internship with that company in like a short and clear manner. You should also always prepare your questions for the interviewer. So this again can be done via LinkedIn. Like this is something that I always do, and I definitely encourage you guys to do, because it shows that you are interested in the person, you are interested in the company and the post, and it also shows that you took the initiative to like find out more and to prepare like precise questions for the interviewer. And B, you also get to find out a lot more about the person in front of you and the company via the responses that the person gives you. Next, you should always prepare like your generic questions, so your strong points, your weak points, experiences where you had to display like leadership qualities, a moment in your life where you failed something, how did you overcome it, what did you do to get better, stuff like that. You know, like your generic questions. I'm pretty sure like you can go on the internet and find out what kind of questions are usually asked during interviews. Prepare your answers for it. And the last tip that I want to give you guys is about the strong points and weak points question. So once again, I feel like this is where you can sort of tailor your answer to the job post and to what the company is working for. And as for your weak points, first of all, we all have things to work on, things to improve on. No one is perfect. So you want to think about your weak points. It's good to be honest, but you should also be careful on how you frame your answer. So the idea is to give like a weak point, but not something that could literally like jeopardize your application for the post. So yeah, that's pretty much the application process that I went through during my interviews with L'Oreal. Pretty standard. 2 different interviews with HR and the manager before knowing if you made it or not. And so I did my internship for 6 months with Roche-Posay. It was incredible, learned a lot. Probably should make a video just talking about like my internship experience with L'Oreal, because that's like a whole different story and I would love to share that with you guys. So now I'm in my 3rd year and I also applied for an internship with L'Oreal once again, and I would say that the second process was much easier, just because like they already had like my references in L'Oreal, they had the contact of my manager, they had like my history at L'Oreal, so they saw that I had applied, and so they checked with my manager to see if my previous internship had went well. But even still, like I had to go through 2 stages. I had to do 1 interview with the HR that spotted my profile and a second interview with the manager for my new team. So that's all for today's video. I really hope that you found it helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that would help me a lot. If you are actually applying for an internship or a job at L'Oreal, then I wish you all the best. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll try my best to reply you. That's all for today. Thank you. Ciao!